Welcome to the Tonight Show with Ratomic. Let's start off with a game. What do all of these people here have in common? That's right, they all have the first name Jimmy. Late night TV talk shows. They've been around for years, starting in 1954 with The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Allen. Now, I'm sure you've seen clips of these shows on YouTube because these shows live on a dying platform. Carpool Karaoke, Down the Sky is a Neighbor, Jimmy Fallon's Games.
I'm gonna go for the dude in the middle.
Oh, I knew you were gonna shoot somebody! I knew it!
Interviews.
Riz face, okay? Yep. Yep.
These are all staples of the late night talk show, but there's one thing missing, and that's the musical performances. Artists love to perform on late night talk shows to promote a new album or a single, or to just get their music out to a larger audience. Usually the music on these shows are from artists you've heard of, like The Weeknd, Billie Eilish, or even Benson Boone. Look at him booning around on stage. But I don't want to talk about these musical performances. I want to talk about the scary ones. The ones that have caused some controversy in recent years. And no, it's not Benson booning around on stage. I'm talking about these beautiful things that I've got. Now, I've been a heavy metal fan for most of my life. My first concert was a Rob Zombie show. I've seen Slipknot, Korn, Slaughter Prevail, Knocked Loose, Ice Nine Kills, Motionless in White. The list just keeps going. I love seeing metal representation on late night because it opens up the genre to more people, and their performances are usually 10 out of 10. Also, it makes me not look like a complete weirdo for liking disgusting guitar riffs, circle pits, and walls of death. Like, tell me how this doesn't go kinda hard.
What's up? What's up? What the fuck is up, titties?
Recently, Jimmy Kimmel has had a lot of metal performances on his show. As of writing this, he just had Spirit Box on just a little bit ago, and they utterly killed it. Metal has gotten more mainstream, and it feels like we're going back to the late 90s and early 2000s again, when metal was pretty cool and people were familiar with the bands. That's actually how I was exposed to Slipknot at a young age, seeing Psychosocial music video on MTV while I was at my grandma's house. Now, I just want to take some time to just talk about some of these performances.
So it's gonna be forever, or it's gonna go down in flames.
First, I want to talk about the lighter side of metal. The kind that, if an old person hears it, they might not even really think it's metal. No hate here, but this stuff just really isn't for me. It's gonna be stuff like Disturbed in 2016 on Conan O'Brien.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Singing The Sound of Silence. Now, it's a beautiful song that is arguably just as good or even better than the original. And it also really shows the raw talent of David, probably at his prime, but I'm not going to talk about him too much just because of the recent controversies.
Yikes!
Or when Evanescence performed their hit song, Bring Me to Life on The Tonight Show starring Jay Leno. Now, before I go on about this, I have something for you, Jay Leno. This is for what you did to Conan O'Brien. Anyway. At the time, this song was blowing up on the radio and popping up on old YouTube videos, even long after its debut. It's a very palatable song for many, and it's very recognizable, which is probably why they had it on Jay Leno. One more for you, Jay. Lastly, let's talk about Ghost performing Call Me Little Sunshine on Jimmy Kimmel.
Call out in the middle of the night, for when else would I hear you?
I don't really like Ghost. I know, flame me, put me on a rack, tar and feather me. Even though he's not from me, he still does a lot for the metal community, and his unique look definitely made this performance memorable. Now, I'm sure plenty of people became fans of Ghost after that night. Next, I'm going to be talking about new metal bands and older metal bands, I would say. Now, you've probably heard of these bands before, at least seen people wearing their shirts. These bands are going to be people like Korn, Slipknot, Metallica, Slayer. These are all bands that have performed on late night TV. First, I want to talk about Korn. They performed many times on Late Night with Jay Leno, including an acoustic version of Throw Me Away. Which I can assume is easier for a broader audience to listen to compared to how it actually sounds, which might scare some people off. Korn was also on Jimmy Kimmel Live, and they performed their song Blind, which is very memorable for me. For some reason, there was just this kid on stage with them, and I love how he's just playing with the mic stand and just vibing to Korn. I think it's his son, but I don't know. I also love how there's a mosh pit in the crowd. Now, you'll see this a lot more later on in the video, as well as just in general if you see heavy metal, but it just shows how much the audience was really feeling that music. Now, Metallica, you know, the Fortnite band, they were also on late night TV. They performed For Whom the Bell Tolls on Jimmy Kimmel. Slayer has also performed on live television a couple of times. In 2007, they played Eyes of the Insane, again on Jimmy Kimmel. Then, 10 years later, they performed Hate Worldwide on the same show, and they absolutely slayed it. Get it? Slayer, slayed it. Slipknot has made a few appearances on Late Night as well. First, they played live on Conan O'Brien's show in 2000, performing Wait and Bleed. They came back a year later to promote their new album, Iowa, by playing Heretic Anthem. Now, this song is arguably one of their heaviest, and seeing it performed on Conan O'Brien's Tonight Show shows how huge this band became in the world of metal music. They also performed Before I Forget on Conan, and later performed on Jimmy Kimmel Live, playing All Out Life as well as Unsainted. Now, this was a big deal for the band because before TikTok and Spotify, it was pretty hard to get exposure, especially for some masked metal band. This kind of TV presence helps them gain the following they really deserve. Now, the reason I talk about these guys more than the others is just because when I show people Slipknot, they are genuinely scared of the people in that band. The sound, the mask, but despite all of that, it didn't stop them from performing live on television for millions to see. The last part is going to be dedicated to my favorite host named Jimmy Kimmel. As you've seen, his name popped up on this list a lot. He's one of the few talk show hosts who actually books a wide range of artists, and more importantly, he gives metal bands the opportunity to perform in front of millions. He doesn't mock them. He's not afraid to air music that's not to be considered safe or mainstream. Recently, he had Knock Loose perform their song Suffocate. The band played that heavy track on live television, and afterward, a bunch of people complained on Facebook. One comment from a concerned Karen read, "You know, I was trying to enjoy the program. I was sitting on the couch with my son, who is an adolescent, waiting to see the musical guests because we like the nice music the show usually books. By the third or fourth junt from the guitars, my son was in tears. He doesn't like scary things, and quite frankly, I think the Kimmel Show and its staff should make a formal apology." Since then, Jimmy Kimmel had Poppy back on to perform her single, The Cost of Giving Up, from her new album. And recently, Spirit Box appeared and absolutely crushed it with one of their heavier songs from their latest record. Jimmy Kimmel has helped so many heavy bands grow their audience by simply just letting them perform on his show. Doesn't matter if it's not popular or radio friendly. He gives these artists the chance to pour their hearts out and prove that metal is far from dead. He's one of the only people in the spotlight doing this right now, and I have the utmost respect for him to being different. If it weren't for these shows putting metal musicians in front of the mainstream, I might never have found my love for metal. The music has shaped who I am today, and I am so grateful that it's finally cool again to love something that might not be considered cool at all by the mainstream audience. Metal may not be for everyone. It's loud, it's angry, it's emotional, and yeah, sometimes it's scary, but it's real. And as long as there's a stage, a mic, and a Jimmy brave enough to book these bands, metal's not going anywhere. So, thank you, Jimmy. Keep scaring the children. And the adults. Coward!